The rain falls cold over Warsaw, Poland. It is October 1944. The sky is the color of wet concrete, gray, heavy, pressing down on the ruins of the city, like a hand crushing a skull. The air smells of smoke and wet ash and something worse, something chemical that burns the throat and makes the eyes water. The Warsaw Uprising has ended. 63 days of fighting, 63 days of hope. Now there is only silence and executions. The buildings are skeletons, blackened stone and twisted metal, windows like empty eye sockets. The streets are cratered, filled with rubble and broken glass and shell casings that glitter in the rain. There are bodies, some covered with tarps, some not. The rain washes over them, indifferent, constant, cold. Lieutenant Friedrich Mann stands in what used to be a schoolyard. The building behind him is gutted. The roof is gone. The walls are pockmarked with bullet holes. Black scorch marks climb the brick like ivy. He can still see the faded letters above the door. Szkoła Podstawowa, primary school. There are desks in the courtyard, overturned, broken. A child's shoe lies in a puddle, small, muddy. Friedrich does not look at it. He looks at the wall, the execution wall. It is 15 meters long, brick, dark red, almost black in the rain. There are stains on it. Old blood, new blood. The ground in front of it is churned mud. Boot prints, drag marks, empty shell casings half buried in the muck. Friedrich's boots are soaked through. His socks are wet. His feet are numb. He has been standing here for 20 minutes, waiting. His uniform is Feldgrau, field gray, the color of smoke and rain and defeat. The wool is heavy with water. It smells of mildew and sweat. His collar is unbuttoned. His cap is missing. He lost it somewhere. He does not remember where. His hands are at his sides, empty, cold. He flexes his fingers. They barely respond. Behind him stands Captain Ernst Brandt. He is 42 years old, tall, thin. His face is all sharp angles, cheekbones like blades, eyes like chips of ice. He wears his uniform perfectly, pressed, buttoned, the iron cross at his throat. He does not seem to feel the rain. Or if he does not care. He is smoking a cigarette. The smoke curls up and dissolves in the rain. He draws on it, exhales. The tip glows orange in the gray light. He looks at his watch. A Jungens, silver, military issue. He says it is time. Man, Friedrich does not respond. Brandt flicks ash into the mud. He says, "Did you hear me, Lieutenant?" Friedrich says, "Yes, sir." "I heard you." Brandt says, "Then proceed." Friedrich turns. He looks at the 12 men lined up against the wall. Partisans, resistance, fighters, Poles. They stand with their hands tied behind their backs. Their wrists are bound with wire, thin, cutting. Some of them are bleeding. The wire has bitten through skin. They wear civilian clothes, torn, filthy, soaked with rain and blood and mud. One man wears a gray sweater with a hole in the shoulder. Another wears a worker's jacket, brown, stained. A third wears a shirt that was once white. Now it is the color of rust. Their faces are bruised, swollen, eyes blackened, lips split. They have been interrogated, beaten. Some can barely stand. They lean against the wall, or against each other. One man is maybe 20 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes. His face is a mess of purple and yellow. Another is older, 50, maybe more, gray hair, deep lines around his eyes. A third is just a boy, 16, 17. His nose is broken. Blood crusts his upper lip. They do not speak. They do not beg. They just wait. Friedrich looks at them. He counts. 12. 12 men. 12 lives. 12 triggers to pull. A soldier approaches. Corporal Klaus Zimmermann. He is 19 years old. From Dusseldorf. He has been in Poland for 6 weeks. This is his first execution detail. His face is pale green. He looks like he might vomit. He carries a wooden crate. Inside are pistols. Walther P38S, standard issue. Black steel. Cold, heavy. Klaus sets the crate down in the mud. It makes a wet sound. Brandt walks over. He picks up a pistol. He checks the magazine. 8 rounds. He slides it back in. Racks the slide. A round chambers with a metallic click. He turns to Friedrich. He holds out the pistol. Grip first. He says you will carry out the executions, Lieutenant. 1 shot, head or heart. Your choice. Make it quick. We have work to do. Friedrich stares at the pistol. He does not take it. Brandt's eyes narrow. He says, "Take it, man." Friedrich reaches out. His hand closes around the grip. The metal is cold. Wet. It feels heavier than it should. Brandt releases it. He says, 12 rounds. 12 men. Do not waste ammunition. Friedrich nods. He does not trust himself to speak. Brandt steps back. He lights another cigarette. He says, "Proceed." Friedrich turns toward the wall. Toward the 12 men. His heart is pounding. His mouth is dry. His hands are shaking. He grips the pistol tighter, trying to stop the trembling. It does not work. He walks forward, slowly. His boots squelch in the mud. Each step feels like it takes an hour. The rain falls harder. It drums on his shoulders, on his cap. It runs down his face, into his eyes. He blinks it away. He stops 3 meters from the wall, from the men. He raises the pistol. His arm is heavy, like lead. He aims at the first man in line. Asterisk, the man is the older one. Gray hair, 50 years old. Maybe more. He has a scar on his left cheek. Old, white. His eyes are brown, deep, tired. He looks at Friedrich. He does not flinch. He does not look away. He just looks. Friedrich stares back. He sees the man's face. Every line. Every wrinkle. Every shadow. He sees the rain running down his cheeks, dripping from his chin. He sees the man's chest rising and falling, breathing, alive. Friedrich's finger is on the trigger. He applies pressure. The trigger has a pull weight of about 2 kilograms. He can feel it. The resistance. The point of no return. He breathes in. The air is cold. It hurts his lungs. He breathes out. His breath mists in the rain. He breathes in again. And then he lowers the pistol. He cannot do it. He does not know why. He has killed before. At Kursk, at Smolensk. Men he could see. Men he could not. Through rifle sights. Through binoculars. Calling in artillery strikes. Ordering advances. Watching men fall. He has killed. But this is different. This is not battle. This is not combat. This is murder. Cold, calculated, deliberate. He cannot do it. The pistol hangs at his side. The rain falls. The 12 men watch, silent, waiting. Behind him, Brandt's voice cuts through the rain like a blade. "What are you doing, man?" "Carry out the order." Friedrich does not move. He does not turn. He just stands there, staring at the mud, at his boots, at the rain pooling around his feet. Brant's voice again, louder, sharper. I said, "Carry out the order, Lieutenant." Friedrich turns, slowly. He looks at Brant. He says, "I cannot, sir." Brant takes a step forward. His face is red. His jaw is clenched. He says, "You cannot, or you will not." Friedrich says, "Both, sir. I cannot, and I will not." Brant stares at him. The cigarette burns between his fingers, forgotten. He says, "You refuse a direct order." Friedrich says, "Yes, sir. I refuse." The courtyard is silent. The only sound is the rain, drumming on stone, on metal, on flesh. The soldiers watch. Klaus, 2 others. They do not move. They do not speak. The 12 men against the wall watch too. Their eyes move between Friedrich and Brant, waiting to see what happens next. Brant drops the cigarette. It hisses in a puddle. He steps closer to Friedrich, close enough that Friedrich can smell the tobacco on his breath, the coffee, the schnapps. Brant says, "You know what this means." Friedrich says, "Yes, sir. I know." Brant says, "You will be court-martialed. You will be charged with cowardice, with insubordination, with treason. You will be shot." Friedrich says, "I understand, sir." Brant says, "Then why? Why are you doing this?" Friedrich looks past him, at the 12 men, at the wall, at the rain. He says, "Because I am tired, sir. Tired of killing. Tired of death. Tired of this war. Tired of being a monster." Brant's hand moves to his holster. For a moment, Friedrich thinks Brant will shoot him right here, right now. Add him to the line. Make it 13. But Brant does not draw. He just stands there, breathing hard, his hand on the pistol. Then he turns. He looks at Klaus. He says, "Corporal Zimmermann." Klaus straightens. His face is white. He says, "Yes, sir." Brant says, "You will carry out the executions." Klaus hesitates. His mouth opens, closes. He says, "Sir, Brant cuts him off. That is an order, Corporal." Klaus swallows. He nods. He says, "Yes, sir." He walks to the crate. He picks up a pistol. His hands are shaking worse than Friedrich's were. He walks to the wall. Friedrich watches him. He feels sick. He has saved no one. He has only passed the burden, only delayed the inevitable. Klaus stops where Friedrich stood. He raises the pistol. He aims at the first man, the older man with the gray hair. The man looks at Klaus. Then he closes his eyes. Klaus fires. The shot is loud. Even in the rain, even with the wind, it echoes off the walls, off the ruins. The man's head snaps back. He drops. His body crumples, falls into the mud. Blood spreads, dark, thick, mixing with the rain. Klaus's hand is shaking. He moves to the second man. He fires another shot. Another body. Friedrich closes his eyes. He cannot watch, but he hears. He hears every shot, every fall, every wet thud of a body hitting the ground. He counts 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Silence. Friedrich opens his eyes. The 12 men are down. They lie in a row. Some face up, some face down. The rain falls on them, washing the blood away, turning the mud red. Klaus stands there, the pistol in his hand, smoke curling from the barrel. His face is blank, empty, like something inside him died too. Brant walks over to Friedrich. He says, "You are under arrest, Lieutenant Mann. You will be escorted to the holding cells." You will await court-martial. Friedrich nods. He says, "Yes, sir." 2 soldiers step forward. They take Friedrich by the arms. They lead him away, out of the courtyard, through the ruins. Friedrich does not resist. He does not look back. He does not want to see the bodies. He does not want to see Klaus. He does not want to see anything. He just walks, 1 foot in front of the other, the rain soaking through his uniform, chilling him to the bone. He is led to a truck. He climbs in the back. The canvas cover is torn. Rain drips through. He sits on a wooden bench, wet, cold, hard. The truck starts. The engine coughs, sputters, then roars to life. They drive through the streets of Warsaw, through the ruins, past burned-out buildings, past craters, past bodies. Friedrich stares at his hands. They are still shaking. He clenches them into fists. It does not help Dot, but among the 12 men, 1 is not dead. His name is Pyotr Kowalski. He is 32 years old. He is from Krakow. He has a wife, Zofia, 2 children, a boy and a girl. He has not seen them in 6 months. He does not know if they are alive. He was 4th in line. When Klaus fired at him, the bullet hit him in the left temple, but it did not penetrate the skull. It grazed, tore through skin, through muscle. It knocked him unconscious, but it did not kill him. He fell with the others. He lay still in the mud, his face in a puddle, water in his mouth, in his nose. He did not move. He did not breathe. He played dead. It is instinct, survival. When the shooting stopped, when the courtyard emptied, he waited. He counted to 100, then 200. Then he opened his eyes. The rain was falling on his face, washing the blood away. He turned his head, slowly, painfully. The courtyard was empty. The soldiers were gone. The bodies lay around him. 11 men, his friends, his brothers, dead. He was alive. He did not know why. He did not know how. His head throbbed, a white-hot pain that made his vision blur. He could feel blood running down his face, warm, thick. He reached up with his bound hands. He touched his temple. His fingers came away red. He tried to stand. His legs would not work. He crawled, dragging himself through the mud, through the blood, past the bodies. He reached the edge of the courtyard. There was a gap in the fence, broken boards, rusted wire. He squeezed through. It took forever. His shoulders scraped. His hands bled. But he made it. On the other side was rubble, a collapsed building. He crawled into it, into the shadows, into the darkness. He lay there, breathing, shaking, alive. Asterisk, he stayed there for 2 days, hiding, waiting. The pain in his head was constant, blinding. He could not see out of his left eye. The blood had dried, crusted. His hands were still bound, the wire cutting into his wrists. He worked at it, twisting, pulling, tearing skin. Finally, it came loose. He pulled his hands free. They were a mess, raw, bleeding, but free. He found a piece of cloth, a rag. He wrapped it around his head, over the wound. It soaked through immediately, but it was something. On the 3rd day, he moved. At night, when the streets were dark, he crawled through the ruins, staying low, staying hidden. He found a cellar, half collapsed. He went inside. There was water, a broken pipe, dripping. He drank. It tasted of rust, of dirt, but it was water. He found a can, unlabeled, vented. He opened it with a piece of metal. Inside was some kind of meat, or something that used to be meat. He ate it. It made him sick, but he needed it. He stayed in the cellar for a week, healing, or trying to. The wound on his head festered, infected. He had no medicine, no bandages, just the rag and hope. On the 10th day, he heard voices, Polish voices. He called out, weakly. They found him. Resistance fighters. What was left of them? They took him to a safe house, a basement beneath a bakery. There was a doctor, an old man. He cleaned the wound, stitched it. 12 stitches. Piotr did not scream. He bit down on a piece of leather, tasted blood, his own. The doctor wrapped his head in clean bandages. He gave him water, soup, bread. Piotr told them what happened, about the courtyard, about the executions, about the 12 men, about the German officer who refused to fire, who lowered his pistol, who said no. The others listened. They did not speak. They just listened. One of them, a young woman named Ewa, asked if he knew the officer's name. Piotr shook his head. No, I do not know his name. But I remember his face. Young, maybe 30. Gray eyes. Blonde hair. Thin. He looked tired. Broken. Human. Ewa said maybe he was. Piotr said he saved my life. Even if he did not mean to. Even if he thought we all died. He saved me. Because he refused. Piotr survived the war. Barely. He fled Poland in 1945, when the Soviets took control. When the borders closed, he went west. Through Germany. Through France. He ended up in England. In London. He found work as a carpenter. He was good with his hands. He built furniture, cabinets, tables, chairs. He married an English woman, Margaret, a nurse. They met at a hospital. He was being treated for his head wound. It never healed properly. The scar was thick, raised. It ached in the cold, in the rain. Margaret did not ask about it. Not at first. But eventually he told her. About the war. About the resistance. About the courtyard. About the executions. About the German officer. She listened. She did not cry. She just held his hand. They had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. Piotr worked hard. He provided. He tried to forget. But he never forgot the courtyard. Never forgot the officer. He told the story. To his children. To his friends. To anyone who would listen. About the German officer who refused to kill. Who lowered his pistol. Who said no. His children asked if he knew the officer's name. Piotr said no. But I remember his face. I will never forget his face. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. The Soviet Union collapsed. Eastern Europe opened. Piotr decided to search. He contacted organizations, veteran groups, archives, museums. He wrote letters. Dozens of them? Hundreds. He described the officer. Wehrmacht lieutenant. October 1944, Warsaw. Refused to execute prisoners. Court-martialed. Most of the responses were dead ends. Records destroyed. Witnesses dead. But in 1993, a researcher in Berlin found something. A file. A military tribunal record. Lieutenant Friedrich Mann, charged with insubordination and cowardice in the face of the enemy. October 17, 1944. Warsaw, Poland. Sentenced to death by firing squad. Sentence not carried out due to administrative collapse. Last known address, Munich, West Germany. The researcher sent the file to Piotr. Pyotr held it in his hands. His hands were shaking. He read it 3 times. 4 times. Friedrich Mann. After 49 years, he had a name. Pyotr traveled to Munich in May 1994. He was 72 years old. His hair was white. His back was bent. The scar on his head still ached. He brought flowers, white roses, 12 of them, 1 for each man who died. He did not know if Friedrich was alive. The address was old, from 1947, but he went. He arrived in Munich on a Tuesday. The city was bright, clean, rebuilt, nothing like the Warsaw he remembered. He took a taxi to the address. It was an apartment building, 4 stories, red brick, a green door. He asked the landlord about Friedrich Mann. The landlord was a young woman. She did not know the name, but she checked the records. Yes, Friedrich Mann, apartment 3B. He has lived here since 1950. Pyotr's heart raced. He climbed the stairs, slowly. His knees ached. His breath came short. He reached the 3rd floor. He found 3B. He stood outside. He held the flowers. His hands were shaking. He knocked. Footsteps, slow, shuffling. The door opened. A man stood there. He was 78 years old. White hair, thin, stooped. His face was lined. Deep wrinkles. Gray eyes. The same eyes. Pyotr recognized them. The same eyes from the courtyard. The same face. Older, worn, but the same. Pyotr said, "Are you Friedrich Mann?" The man said, "Yes." "Who are you?" Pyotr said, "My name is Pyotr Kowalski. I am from Warsaw, from Poland. I was in a courtyard in October 1944. You refused to shoot me." Friedrich's face went pale. He grabbed the doorframe. His knees buckled. Pyotr reached out, steadied him. Friedrich said, You are alive." Pyotr said, "Yes, because of you." Friedrich shook his head. He said, No, I did nothing. They killed you. All of you. I saw." Pyotr said, 11 died. "I survived. Because you lowered your pistol. Because you refused. Because you gave me a chance." Friedrich's eyes filled with tears. He said, "I have carried that day for 49 years. Every day. Every night. I thought everyone died. I thought my refusal meant nothing." Pyotr said it meant everything. "You showed me that not every German was a monster. That humanity still existed. Even there. Even then, Friedrich invited Pyotr inside. The apartment was small. 1 bedroom. A kitchen. A sitting room. It was clean, sparse. There were photographs on the walls. A woman. A girl. Friedrich said, "My wife, Clara. She died 5 years ago. My daughter, Anna. She lives in Berlin." Pyotr said, "I am sorry. For your loss." Friedrich said, "And I am sorry. For what my country did. For what I did." Pyotr said, "You did the right thing." Friedrich said, "But they still died." Pyotr said, "Yes. But you refused to kill them. That is the difference. That is what makes you human." They sat. They talked. For hours. Pyotr told Friedrich about his life. About fleeing Poland. About England. About his wife Margaret. His children. His grandchildren. Friedrich told Pyotr about the court-martial. About the prison. About the escape. About the years after. The guilt. The shame. The nightmares. He said, "I see their faces every night. The 12 men. I hear the shots. I see them fall." Pyotr said, "You are not the one who killed them." Friedrich said, but I did not save them. Pyotr said you tried. You refused. You risked your life. That is more than most. That is courage. Friedrich said, I do not feel like a hero. Pyotr said heroes never do. Pyotr gave Friedrich the flowers. He said these are for you, one for each man who died, and one for the man who refused to kill. Friedrich took the flowers. He held them, his hands shaking. He said, I do not deserve these. Pyotr said you do. More than anyone. They embraced. Two old men, connected by a courtyard, by a refusal, by a war that tried to destroy them both, but failed. Piotr stayed in Munich for 3 days. He and Friedrich met every day. They walked through the city. They sat in cafes. They talked about the war, about the years after, about life, about loss, about forgiveness. On the last day, they went to a cemetery. Friedrich wanted to show Pyotr something. They walked through rows of graves, stone, marble, crosses, stars. Friedrich stopped at one. The headstone was simple, gray granite. It read, Clara Mann, beloved wife and mother, 1920 to 1989. Friedrich said she knew about the courtyard, about the refusal. I told her everything. She said I did the right thing, that I should be proud. But I never was. I never could be. Pyotr said you should listen to her. You did do the right thing. You saved my life. And in doing so, you saved my children, my grandchildren, all the lives that came after. Friedrich nodded. He placed one of the white roses on Clara's grave. He said, for you, my love, for believing in me when I could not. They left the cemetery. Pyotr's flight was that evening. Friedrich drove him to the airport. They stood outside the terminal. The sun was setting. The sky was orange, pink, beautiful. They shook hands, then embraced. Pyotr said, thank you, Friedrich, for everything. Friedrich said, no, thank you for finding me, for forgiving me, for showing me that it mattered. Pyotr said it always mattered. It always will. They parted. Pyotr walked into the terminal. He turned back once. Friedrich was still there, standing, watching. Pyotr waved. Friedrich waved back. Then Pyotr was gone. Friedrich died 4 years later. In 1998, he was 82 years old. He died in his sleep, peaceful. His daughter Anna found him in the morning. He was in his chair by the window. The sun was shining. There was a letter on his lap. From Pyotr. They had written to each other. Once a month. For 4 years. Talking, sharing, remembering. The letter was dated 2 weeks earlier. It said, my dear friend, I think of you often. Of the courtyard. Of the choice you made. I want you to know that you are a hero. Not because you killed, but because you refused to kill. That is the hardest thing. To say no when everyone else says yes. To choose mercy when the world demands cruelty. You did that. And it mattered. It saved my life. And it saved your soul. Never forget that. Your friend always. Pyotr. Anna read the letter. She cried. She had never known the full story. Her father never told her. But now she understood. She called Pyotr. She told him her father had passed. Pyotr was silent for a long time. Then he said, I will come. For the funeral. I will come. He flew to Munich. He stood beside the grave as they lowered Friedrich into the ground. Anna asked if he would speak. Pyotr nodded. He stood before the small group of mourners. He told them about the courtyard, about the 12 men, about the refusal, about the officer who said no. He said Friedrich Mann was a hero, not because he won battles, not because he earned medals, but because he chose humanity over obedience. He chose conscience over command. He risked everything to stay human, and that is the greatest courage of all. Piotr placed white roses on the grave, 12 of them, one for each man who died, and one for Friedrich. He said, "Goodbye, my friend. Thank you for your courage, for your refusal, for your humanity. You saved my life, and you saved your soul." Piotr returned to London. He lived another 6 years. He died in 2004. He was 82. His children buried him in a small cemetery in North London. On his gravestone they wrote, Piotr Kowalski, survivor, father, witness, saved by refusal, saved by courage, saved by Friedrich. The story did not end. Piotr's children told the story to their children. Friedrich's daughter told the story to hers. The story spread in schools, in books, in museums. In 2010, a museum in Warsaw opened an exhibit on the Warsaw Uprising. There was a section on the executions, on the reprisals, on the people who helped. There was a display about Friedrich and Piotr. There were photographs, letters, the tribunal record, the white roses preserved under glass, the plaque read, "In October 1944, a German officer refused to execute 12 Polish prisoners. 11 died. 1 survived. 49 years later, the survivor found the officer. He brought flowers. He brought forgiveness. He brought proof that even in the darkest times, humanity can survive." People come to the exhibit. They read the story. They look at the roses. They think about the choices they make, about the courage it takes to say no, about the power of refusal. And they remember, because some stories are too important to forget. Some acts of courage echo forever. In Munich, white roses bloom on Friedrich Mann's grave every spring, placed there by Piotr's grandchildren. A reminder, a memorial, a promise that one refusal can change everything. That one choice can save a life. That one act of courage can echo through generations. And in Warsaw, in a museum, there is a wall, a photograph of a wall, the execution wall, and beside it, white roses, and the story of the officer who refused to fire, and the man who returned with flowers.